Senator Kamala Harris about to move front and center in the 2020 campaign. Kamala Harris's own past comments may be coming back to haunt her. This one has to do with an old fight about the Ku Klux Klan. Here's the backstory. In 2015, former Border Patrol Chief Ronald Vitiello, he said he was sorry for a tweet where he said the Democrat Party should be renamed the, quote, neo-Klanist party. Vitiello said that was a mistake. But fast forward to 2018, Kamala Harris getting ready to launch her own presidential campaign. In Vitiello's ICE confirmation hearing, Senator Harris went after Vitiello, with the senator trying to compare ICE to the KKK. Watch this.
The Klan was what we would call today a domestic terrorist group because they tried to use fear and force to change political environment.
And what was the motivation for the use of fear and force?
It was based on race and ethnicity.
Are you aware of the perception of many about how the power and the discretion at ICE is being used to enforce the laws? And do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
Officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
That puts ICE in the same category as the KKK.
Okay, look who's here. Retired ICE Acting Director Ronald Vitiello. The KKK?
What a disappointment. Imagine that voters of California seeing that exchange and wondering what she's doing trying to be a leader in that committee. I prepared for that hearing. It meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to my staff. I thank the chairman for making it happen. But she comes in late in the hearing, and I expected tough questions about decisions I made, mistakes I've made, operational calls that I made that may have gone good or bad. I have a 33-year career sitting in that chair of good things and bad things, things I'm proud of. And she spends her time comparing the workforce that I'm about to lead and comparing them to the KKK. It's incredible. It's very disappointing that someone of her stature could say and do things and then still be considered a leader in this country.
You know, ICE and Border Patrol rescue thousands of people every year. They rescue migrants, they rescue illegal immigrants, they rescue them from drowning in rivers and oceans. ICE and Border Patrol rescue people from suffering from heat waves, collapsing in deserts. They rescue thousands of children from infants to teenagers from human traffickers. Human traffickers tag these children, quote, like cattle. That's according to reports we're seeing. They even rescue people from burning buildings and homes. ICE and Border Patrol is enforcing the laws that Congress writes. ICE arrested more than 2,000 criminal illegals just in the 6-week period through mid-August, wanted for rape, kidnapping, murder, homicides in minority and immigrant communities, also battery of children, child abuse, spousal abuse, domestic violence. Is this the KKK? Really, Senator?
Liz, I thank you for pointing out the sacrifice.
Go ahead, Ronald.
I thank you for pointing out the sacrifice that agents and officers and their families give for their communities to keep us all safe, to protect us all. They go out there each and every day to protect the homeland, to patrol the border, to arrest people who are in the country illegally. And so there's no comparison to them and what we're domestic terrorist groups. No one does more for these people when they encounter them than Border Patrol agents and ICE officers. They sometimes find them in their worst conditions with the rough terrain and the terrible weather in the southwest border. And this operation that ICE did in the cities, the 2,000 arrests that they made, 85% of the people that they arrested were either previously convicted of criminal cases or had been charged recently with crimes in the U.S. And so having the cooperation of these jurisdictions is very important, but without the jurisdiction in a place like Los Angeles or Atlanta, they can still make meaningful arrests and take these threats off the streets and out of our communities and get them removed for being here illegally and hold them to account for the crimes that they committed while they were in the United States. We have to commend ICE and ERO for doing what they did.
Democrats like Senator Harris were reacting to the stories about Border Patrol putting illegal immigrant children in cages. Can you respond to that story?
There are not cages. There are detention centers specifically designed in locations in the southwest border. The one that's most famous is in the Rio Grande Valley, where I served as the chief in 2010. Those facilities were constructed so that kids would have a safe environment to be in places where we could see through the walls so that they could be protected, so that kids of a similar age or families that were together could be protected while they were in custody, and they could be surveilled and not behind a wall or in a closed cell. And so they were not cages, and they were built because of the crisis that was caused in 2014 because the inadequate services provided for those children when they got into custody.
And those facilities started under President Barack Obama. Ronald Vitiello, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
I'm Elizabeth Vitiello. You've been watching The Evening Edit on